Picture this. In a deeply divided America, the fiery words of politicians could be sparking real-world violence against those sworn to protect us. That's the alarming heart of the story emerging from a tragic shooting at an ICE facility in Dallas, where one person lost their life and others were wounded. But here's where it gets controversial. Some are pointing fingers at leading Democrats for their heated language about immigration enforcement, claiming it dehumanizes officers and escalates dangers. Let's dive into the details, breaking it down step by step so everyone can follow along, even if you're new to these political debates. First, a quick primer for those just tuning in. ICE stands for Immigration and Customs Enforcement, a federal agency responsible for enforcing immigration laws and securing our borders. It's a tough job, often in the spotlight, and lately it's been under intense scrutiny. According to the Department of Homeland Security, ICE agents have seen a staggering 1,000% spike in assaults while on duty. This backdrop sets the stage for the shocking events of Wednesday, when a 29-year-old gunman named Joshua John, as identified by the FBI, unleashed gunfire on an ICE field office in Dallas. Tragically, one person was killed, 2 were injured, and the shooter ended his own life afterward. Adding to the horror, authorities found ammunition at the scene, inscribed with anti-ICE messages, a chilling detail that suggests targeted animosity. In the aftermath, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt didn't mince words, urging Democrats to dial back their language. Democrats must stop demonizing the heroic men and women of ICE who are just doing their jobs to keep Americans safe, she stated firmly. Yet, despite this plea, several prominent Democrats took to social media shortly after the attack, sharing posts that criticized ICE in strong terms. And this is the part most people miss. These reactions came right on the heels of the violence, raising eyebrows about timing and tone. Take Representative Nikki Budzinski from Illinois. For instance, just hours after the shooting, she posted on X, formerly Twitter, accusing ICE of conducting dangerous and reckless immigration operations that harm the public. I've joined the Illinois delegation in demanding answers about DHS's dangerous and reckless operations in our state, she wrote. We refuse to stand by while masked agents trample on due process, indiscriminately arrest our neighbors, and threaten immigrant communities. It's a passionate call for accountability, but critics argue it paints all agents with too broad a brush. Senator Mark Warner from Virginia went even further in a post he later deleted, claiming ICE agents were picking up mums as they drop off their kids to daycare or people going to work. This vivid imagery highlights concerns about how enforcement tactics disrupt everyday lives, potentially scaring families and communities. Just days prior, Representative Robin Kelly, also from Illinois and running for Senate, likened ICE's methods to Gestapo tactics, a reference to the Nazi secret police, which is a heavy comparison that evokes historical atrocities. She described their actions as a betrayal of the values we swear to uphold, sparking debates about whether such analogies cross into inflammatory territory. The criticism extends to top Democratic leaders. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries from New York accused former Trump border czar Tom Homan of aiming to unleash masked ICE agents on the American people. Meanwhile, Senator Elizabeth Warren from Massachusetts, a former presidential candidate, posted on X that ICE was targeting community members with no criminal record, with agents sitting outside of churches and schools, driving unmarked vans and breaking car windows. She argued these violent ICE arrests don't make us safer. They intentionally stoke fear and tear communities apart. Senator Dick Durbin from Illinois echoed similar sentiments on the Senate's law, alleging federal officials target people based on brown skin and a Hispanic surname. He shared personal observations from his state. ICE is arresting first and asking questions later. I've seen the devastating impacts of these policies in my state of Illinois. People are fearful of masked men in unmarked vans who can grab them at any time because of how they look or their voice, accent. Durbin added that parents are terrified to take their kids to school and businesses are suffering as people are scared to go to work. These accounts paint a picture of widespread anxiety, but they also fuel controversy. Are they accurate depictions, or do they oversimplify complex law enforcement challenges? Members of the Squad, a group of progressive Democratic lawmakers, have faced particular backlash for their strong stances. The day before the Dallas attack, Representative Ilhan Omar from Minnesota shared a news story, which she later removed, claiming ICE used a 5-year-old autistic child as bait to apprehend her undocumented father. The Department of Homeland Security disputed this, stating the father, Edwards Hit Mejia, left the child behind during a pursuit. Omar's repost included a blunt call. "This is vile and beyond cruel. Abolish ICE." Representative Ayanna Pressley from Massachusetts accused President Donald Trump and ICE of an absolutely shameful campaign of terrorizing our communities to the point that students are too afraid to go to school. Representative Rashida Tlaib from Michigan has called ICE actions under Trump an illegal abduction of activist Mahmoud Khalil, a Columbia student and immigrant. And Representative Pramila Jayapal from Washington stated that ICE is racially profiling and kidnapping people just for looking Latino or speaking Spanish, describing Trump's approach as turning our law enforcement into his own secret police to terrorize our communities. In response, the Department of Homeland Security has issued a heartfelt plea to end the dehumanization. The men and women of ICE are fathers and mothers, sons and daughters. They get up every morning to try and make our communities safer, the agency posted on X. The violence and dehumanization of these men and women who are simply enforcing the law must stop. DHS Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin, speaking on Fox News after the attack, highlighted the real dangers. Due to the rhetoric, agents and their families are being doxxed. That's when personal information is publicly shared to harass or endanger someone and targeted. It's absolutely unacceptable, and I do think it's incumbent, really upon the media, upon politicians. We've got to turn the rhetoric down. We don't want anyone to be hurt. We don't want anyone to get killed. This is an awful day, she emphasized. President Trump himself weighed in on Truth Social, posting in all caps, "I am calling on all Democrats to stop this rhetoric against ICE and America's law enforcement right now." It's a direct challenge, underscoring the belief that words can lead to bloodshed. This situation raises profound questions about the line between free speech and responsible discourse in politics. On one hand, critics of ICE argue their rhetoric exposes injustices and holds power accountable. Think of it as shining a light on potential abuses, much like whistleblowers in history, who sparked reforms. But on the other, opponents contend it incites hatred and puts lives at risk, potentially contributing to a cycle of violence. Is there a middle ground where politicians can critique policies without vilifying individuals? And does this rhetoric truly inspire acts like the Dallas shooting, or is that an oversimplification? What do you think? Should leaders tone down the heat, or is passionate debate essential for change? Do you agree with the Democrats' concerns about ICE tactics, or do you side with the calls to support law enforcement? Share your views in the comments. Let's discuss this divisive issue openly.